While most of the world has been locked in on the war in Iran, something else is moving quietly through Washington that could fundamentally reshape financial freedom, how you use money, and how much control you actually have over it. Tucked inside broader housing legislation, lawmakers are now actively debating whether the US should move forward, delay, or block a central bank digital currency. Essentially, a digital dollar issued directly by the Federal Reserve that is programmable and trackable. Now, the US Senate has already passed the 21st Century Road to Housing Act, and buried inside that bill is a provision added by Republicans that would block the Fed from issuing a retail CBDC, but only until the end of 2030. That was the compromise achieved. Now, that bill is now heading to the House for a vote, and Republicans there are pushing for even stronger language, not just a temporary delay, but more durable restrictions to prevent a CBDC from being introduced down the line. So inside a bill that is essentially about housing, there is also a battle about control over money itself. So what exactly is a CBDC? At its core, it is government-issued, fully digital money, a direct liability of the central bank, designed to move instantly and be programmable. And that's where the concern lies, because unlike cash, it can be tracked. Unlike your bank account, it can be directly controlled by the government. And critics warn that this opens the door to a system where every transaction is visible, where there is no privacy, where spending can be restricted, where access to your own money could become conditional, when money is programmed to work or not work for certain transactions at certain times. And in the wrong hands, it becomes an Orwellian tool of control. Look at China, where the People's Bank of China has been at the forefront of rolling out a CBDC, the digital yuan, which in some parts of the country is already linked to a social credit score. Fail to pay a court-ordered debt, and you can be placed on a blacklist, and your money is programmed to restrict your ability to book flights or high-speed trains. Break certain rules like jaywalking or walking a dog without a leash, and you can lose points. Lose enough points, and your money can be programmed to restrict your access to certain goods and services like five-star hotels and luxury products. That is happening in China right now. A CBDC could fundamentally change the relationship between citizens and the state. And if it is linked to a social credit score, then we have a tool where if the government, in theory, doesn't like what you post online, how you interacted with others, which protest you attended, it can deduct points and limit your spending or cut you off the financial system entirely. Or it can be tied to ideological narratives framed as for the greater good. You've booked too many flights a month and exceeded your carbon output allowance, so your money will be programmed to not work to buy your next plane ticket. Refuse to get a vaccine, and your money won't work for other goods. Now that is the dystopian scenario. But if COVID taught us anything, it's that governments will overreach. Remember, in Canada, truckers protesting against vaccine mandates were cut off from their banking system. And that is so much easier to do with a CBDC. And just the idea that you can be cut off just like that enforces compliant behavior. So in the House, many Republicans are pushing back, arguing that this violates the Fourth Amendment and that a temporary ban is not enough. They want a permanent prohibition because once the infrastructure is in place, there may be no going back. And this is not just a US story. More than 130 countries representing over 95% of global GDP are actively exploring and developing CBDCs. The European Central Bank is targeting a digital euro rollout by 2030, so in the next 4 years. In China, the digital yuan has already processed nearly $1 trillion in transactions. Bahamas, Jamaica, and Nigeria have launched a CBDC version. India is testing a pilot. Now, supporters argue that a central bank digital currency is not about control. It's about fixing inefficiencies in a system that is already outdated. And at the most basic level, a digital dollar could make payments faster, cheaper, and more reliable, settling instantly, reducing fees, and cutting out layers of intermediaries that slow everything down. And it could expand financial inclusion, giving millions of people direct access to digital payments without needing a traditional bank account. But the argument goes much further than that. Proponents say a CBDC could fundamentally improve how monetary policy works. Instead of relying on banks to transmit stimulus, the central bank could inject liquidity directly into the economy, instantly into CBDC wallets, and with precision. Funds could be targeted to specific households, regions, or sectors, rather than just flooding the system and hoping it trickles through. Money could even be programmed to be spent within a certain time frame or be lost, thereby increasing economic activity exactly when it's needed. And supporters also point to security and transparency and crime prevention. A CBDC would make it significantly harder to conduct illegal activities. So is this about efficiency and innovation, or are we witnessing the foundation of a new financial system that could redefine privacy, ownership, and freedom itself? Because once money becomes programmable and fully trackable, it stops being just a medium of exchange. It becomes a mechanism of power, a tool of control. And once that infrastructure is in place, there may be no way to turn it off. And that's the real story.
This is The Real Story with Michelle Makori.